Copilot is Microsoft's Excel AI tool that allows you to edit your Excel file with any level of customizations. And as someone who has built hundreds of financial models in my career, I had to understand, how good was it when it came to strategic finance? Well, in this video, I'm going to be feeding it an income statement and a balance sheet, asking it to create a world-class financial model. We'll analyze where it does a good job and where it could maybe improve a bit. And we'll even hear from Microsoft's team directly with some tips on how to make the most out of Copilot. Let's get started. All right, so here are my starting files. I have an income statement from January 2024 through December 2025, and the same thing for my balance sheet. And this is usually the starting point for when I create a financial model. So let's see how well Copilot can do with this. So I'm gonna click this little Copilot button over here, and it looks like it by default opened up Allow Editing. Now there are a few different options. I first wanna understand what's the best prompt to maximize my chances of success. So let me ask Copilot that. All right, so here's the prompt. I have a 24-month P&L and balance sheet, and I'd like to turn this into a 3-statement model with a dynamic statement of cash flows. You are a world-class financial modeler. I would like for you to build a robust financial model with all the best practices: error checking, dynamic values, color coding, dashboards, backup schedules, and anything else necessary. Please give me the prompt that I should give to edit in Copilot to maximize my chances of success. And let's see what it says. All right, and it looks like it's still generating all this information. Okay, and that is 188 lines of a prompt. And it's now telling me to audit the financial model afterwards. So let's give this a try. I'm gonna copy this. Let's open up a new chat. This time I'm gonna say allow editing and I'll paste. Now I'm noticing I forgot to ask it to include 2 years of projection. So let me say that. All right, now let's see what happens. And while Copilot is thinking, let me show you how I would actually consider a CFO-grade financial model. All right, so here's my structure where I imported in my historicals via this unpivoted table over here for every account across every time period for both my income statement and balance sheet. Now this makes it really easy to then manipulate. And this drivers tab brings in every historical value for every account across my income statement and balance sheet. And if I want to edit the projections, I can just change this from a 3-month average instead to, let's say, a monthly assumption, and you'll see this $45,000 value ends up getting picked up. And you can see that it's a full 3-statement model because in this cell where I add $1 million to my additional paid-in capital on my statement of cash flows, you can see that $1 million flowing through. Now I also have a bunch of other tabs. For example, this is where I'm projecting out my headcount and I'm rolling that information up by department. Then I have a bunch of tabs helping me forecast the balance sheet. So this is where I could forecast deferred revenue or accounts payable, accounts receivable, and even fixed and intangible assets. Now all these tabs are being checked by this error check tab. So in the event that I don't realize that I make a mistake, let's say on my balance sheet, I just erase a value. Well, now I can see that there's an error. And if I go to my error check tab, you can see that error. And then lastly, to summarize this data, I have a bunch of beautiful dashboards like this KPI dashboard or a summarized view of all 3 of my financial statements. I can even compare my information against a prior period or a budget or a prior year. And I generated all this actually with our tool, Model Wiz. Now, like Copilot, it's also an Excel add-in where you can generate full world-class 3-statement models entirely customized to your business with some of the most beautiful dashboards and robust functionality that you've ever seen. And if you want to check it out entirely for free and even work with me, you can at modelwiz.com. Now let's see how Copilot is doing. All right, so it has an instructions tab and this tab is empty. Let's see what else it's got. It's got an assumptions tab. It's got a historical tab that it's starting to populate. Now it's got forecast tabs, the cash flows, the checks, and a dashboard. All right, we got some working capital assumptions, CapEx assumptions, depreciation, debt, and tax rate. All right, now it's moving on to the income statement forecast tab. So it's using the indirect method, but what I find interesting is it's not really doing this on an account by account basis. It seems like it's aggregating information like other current liabilities instead of listing out each of those liabilities. Now it's saying, let me verify the model is working correctly by checking the checks tab. Well, we don't really have any checks actually in place. The values on the income statement, forecast, and balance sheet, it appears to be empty, which suggests there may be a value error in the formulas. The original data exists. Let me rebuild the formulas more carefully. The issue might be with how I created the formulas earlier. Oh, looks like it had a typo. It used .formulas instead of .formula. It looks like my Excel is kind of frozen, so maybe I shouldn't focus too much on making edits while it's running this. So my spreadsheet is kind of hijacked while it's doing all this work. Ooh, look at that. It looks like the income statement has populated. It includes projections. Now it's gonna do the same thing with the balance sheet. So we got some information over here populating. We'll probably see rows 13 through 18 populate in a big chunk. And there we go. And if I scroll to the right, I also see the projections updating. All right, and now we're done. We of course have some errors. I wonder if it's going to understand why there are errors. And it's because it hasn't linked up cash yet. Now it's saying it's gonna rebuild the cash flow statement. And it found that there was a balance sheet imbalance because the historical retained earnings needed adjustment. Not really sure what this means. So it realizes that again in the forecast, there's an issue with retained earnings. And that issue only seems to exist once we get into the projection periods. Now let's check the error check tabs. And it looks like we detected an error. Going back to the cash flow tab. And it's saying for historical periods, we shouldn't be calculating the cash flow since we're checking historical balances. Yeah, but the balance should still tie, so I'm not sure about that. All right, and it's saying the three-statement financial model is complete. It's integrated. It's telling me all the tabs that it created, all the assumptions, how to use these tabs. This looks pretty sweet. It's also telling me that the blue font is the editable assumptions in the assumptions tab. It's all dynamic. There are no circular references. And it gave me a little bit of a write-up. Now, I don't know what undo is gonna do. That's a lot of work to undo. So I'm gonna just go ahead and click done. And let's now take a look. So the instructions tab, I like that this is pretty detailed on how exactly to use the model. We even have some notes on the key assumptions and drivers and some best practices. For questions or model modifications, contact your financial analyst. I don't know if I'd really include that in a financial model. Let's see the assumptions. All right, so the assumptions over here just show one column. I'm a much bigger fan of having the assumptions really for every single period in your projections, because then you can tweak them over time. Right now, they'll be locked, so just one assumption will apply to every period. All right, for working capital assumptions, this is pretty popular. We have 45 days and then 30 days for days payable outstanding. CapEx, I find this interesting. It just shows the number and the depreciation expense. I would expect these two to kind of be in tandem with each other. So depreciation would grow as CapEx would grow. For debt assumptions, this seems like a pretty high interest rate. Let's now check. First, I want to confirm, does net income actually match to my source information? So I'm just going to take this here and subtract it. And it looks like this over here is matching. And I'm going to just continue for all of the historical periods, and it looks like everything matches, so that's good. For the balance sheet, we already have this check in place that checks that assets are equal to liabilities and owner's equity. I find this interesting. For accounts receivable, it's taking my forecast value of sales and multiplying it by the days sales outstanding divided by 30. Now, this actually looks a little bit different from the financial statements I gave it. And if I check on other current assets, it looks like it's actually grouping information here. So rather than show the actual current assets, which it has over here, it's just grouping all that information together. I don't know if that's how I would have done it. Now let's see what's going on with the cash flows tab. So it said something in the beginning like the historical cash flow shouldn't really need to be checked against the balance sheet. I would think that it should. Let me just see what happens if I click on ending cash over here, minus the historical balance sheet's ending cash, and I hit enter. It looks like the value is 0, and I can continue doing that all the way through December. And it does show 0. So what exactly is this? Why is this saying that the ending minus the beginning minus the change? This should be 0. So let's see. This is saying the beginning cash balance, which, well, we don't really have the beginning cash balance because the information that I provided started in January 2024. So it looks like in the first month, it pretty much just took the values on the balance sheet. The second month is when it took the net change in the balance sheet. Now, in the second month, this should equal. So this makes me worried that we may have an issue somewhere. It looks like $12,000 on the cash check doesn't tie. So let me see if I could find a value on the balance sheet forecast for $12,000 or something that changed by $12,000. I don't really see anything. This decreased by $10,000. Do we show that? And it looks like we don't. It looks like capital expenditures are set to 0 here. I find that pretty interesting when in reality, it looks like we did have amounts that were disposed of. And you know what? This is the change here. Furniture went from $45,000 to $35,000. Equipment went from $10,000 to $8,000. That's a $12,000 difference. I'm not really showing that in the cash flows over here. And that explains why we have a $12,000 difference. I don't really agree with this for historical periods. We shouldn't be calculating the cash flow check since we're using the actual historical cash balances. In this financial model, I wouldn't want an investor to see this information and say, hey, why did your CFO miss this cash change? The information technically doesn't tie right now. Let's now check out the dashboard. I gotta be honest, I'm not really so crazy about what I'm seeing here. This is pretty ugly. I don't really understand the selections, the monthly net income. I think we gotta have a bit of a ways to go when it comes to data visualization. And it looks like now I have my historical income statement and balance sheet. These are pretty much not needed now that we have this historical tab, but I guess good to keep a source of truth. I'm noticing a few other things. This just shows revenue, but if I go to my income statement that I fed it, well, I have these two other lines for revenue. Now, these start to have values in June, and now in my model, I'm really just showing one line for revenue. So this now no longer ties to my chart of accounts. If I go to the historicals, it looks like this is just pulling the total row from row 10. It's pretty common in financial modeling to forecast at each general ledger account level. Right now in my model, I wouldn't really be able to do that. And let's check these checks. So everything over here matches for the balance sheet. What happens if I just go to the balance sheet and change this value to, let's say, 100,000? Well, I don't see any notification anywhere that there is an error. And if I go to the error check tab, it looks like it does now show that I have an error. Checking the balance sheet forecast, it looks like it is correctly picking that up. I'm just gonna instead copy the old formula, and now everything should go back to 0. So let's rate this. Let's first talk about model structure. Well, I'm not crazy about the fact that it condensed some of my accounts over here and brought in this historical tab, which is pretty much just a duplicate of the tabs that I already gave it. I also would have loved to have seen it in an unpivoted format instead for the historicals, making it easy to reference the information. But that's probably not the biggest nitpick. How about accuracy? Well, the data is for the most part accurate. It does have these checks, which I'm pretty impressed by. But as we saw, the historical cash flows doesn't really tie. If I wanted to analyze information historically in this model, or maybe even historicals plus projections, well, now the information coming from this tab is going to be incorrect. More importantly, the data doesn't foot. This value is coming from a completely separate tab. So if I just change this to 500,000 by an override, well, the ending cash is not really going to change on this financial statement. So I can't really say this did such a great job in terms of accuracy. Now, how about the projections? Well, I like that it created this assumptions tab. I like that it also simplified things, knowing when to put percentages, when to put days or values. I also like that it applied all these values in blue. But again, when I'm creating financial models, I want assumptions that span every period in my financial model, because those assumptions most likely will change. For example, the cost of a material can very much change based off of global shipping rates. And on top of that, I'm not crazy about the fact that some of these values are hard-coded. My depreciation expense is really an output from my fixed assets. So if I add a lot of fixed assets, my depreciation shouldn't really stay the same. Now, in terms of speed, it's impressive how much it did if you're comparing it to a human building all this. But it still took a decent amount of time, and my file did kind of freeze at some point in it. And lastly, in terms of the data visualization aspect, I can't really say that I'm too impressed by this. I would certainly not present this to anyone. It would most likely take away a lot from the professionalism, and I don't even understand what it's doing over here. And I'm also a little bit curious, was this Copilot that did all this, or another LLM? All right, so I'm gonna ask, who exactly did all this work? Copilot, Claude, ChatGPT, some other LLM? All right, and this is interesting. Copilot is saying, I built this 3-statement financial model. I am Claude. And it's telling me how exactly it implemented all this. So I find that pretty interesting. Although it's saying that Copilot built all of this, it really utilized Claude? Well, I have a ton of questions about what I just experienced. So I figured, why not ask Microsoft's team directly and hear from them? I wanted to share with you just one issue that Copilot had. This may be a little bit technical, but when it generated the statement of cash flows, it did an amazing job with actually making this a comprehensive statement of cash flows that's dynamic. You could see all the formulas, nothing is hard-coded. The error check actually works, but it did something very interesting. For the historical cash flows, because I was starting with existing financial statements, it just overwrote the ending cash balance, instead of making that actually be the sum of the opening balance plus the net changes. So you see this $12,000, that's a $12,000 difference that when I dug deeper, I realized Copilot actually had a mistake. It didn't properly calculate that.
So this is one where I would go back and say, hey, anytime you're doing this, I would actually correct it. So make this a conversation where it made this mistake here. And you said, hey, this one you shouldn't be referencing. You should be summing on this sheet. And this is where also we tell people, we're like, hey, look, it's still a large language model, which is non-deterministic deterministic. And this is a hard thing for Excel users because you're used to like the average formula. The average of 3, 2, 1 is always going to be 2, right? And like that's deterministic. But because you're working with a large language model, there's this non-determinism that's part of it, just part of the nature of it. And so it's going to kind of trip up and get some things wrong, which is why we always double check.
I'm curious, why do you think Copilot struggled with developing something that an analyst would be proud of to present?
So for our power users in Excel, for a lot of them, it's easier. They actually build it first, like exactly like they want. And then they go back and tell Copilot, okay, this is what I want. Write me the prompt that will build this for me. And that's actually really effective as well.
I'm glad you said that, because that's exactly what I did with this entire task. Now, I could have probably been a lot more specific about the dashboard, about the colors, about the way to design it and all that. Do you think Excel itself is going to transform in terms of the way that we use it, where in 10 years from now, it'll almost be like the olden times, the way people are currently using Excel?
I definitely think, like, if you think back to late 90s when the internet just became super broad, my gut says we'll look back at where we are right now as that early time. And you're seeing the shift from, you know, AI tools that take on tasks to AI tools that will, you know, be more independent. So right, it's end of quarter, it's already going to start building in, pulling in all the data that you need, starting to hydrate your model maybe from the last quarter and making updates. So, and then where it goes from there, even I don't know yet.
Now, regardless of which Excel AI tool you're using, one thing's for sure. You need to know what you're doing when building financial models. Copilot is more of like a general purpose all AI tool. So I could understand that maybe it didn't do as clean of a job as we did, but that's just my take. I'm curious on your take. Do you think that Copilot is good enough to build a financial model? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to learn how to build a 3-statement model, I suggest you check out this video right over here. I'm Josh, your CFO guide, and I'll catch you next time.